Quilty is brought to you by Baby Lock Sewing and Long Arm Machines. Baby Lock, for the love of sewing. Aurifil. Aurifil Italian thread, perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Fairfield. Together, we can make beautiful things. Free Spirit. A new generation of creative and playful fabrics perfect for fashions, home decor, quilting, crafting, and more. Hovels Sewing. Cut it close with Hovels. Moda. Make something quilty with Moda fabrics. Thermoweb. Manufacturer of heat and bond adhesives and new luxe interfacings, proudly made in the USA. Hello, you're watching Quilty, and this week we have a This Is My Quilt episode with Jackie Berry. Jackie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mary. It's great to be here.
You know, we go way back.
We do.
We go back to Washington Island, Wisconsin.
One of my favorite places ever.
We met. Tell the story of how we met.
Sure. So I had just started quilting, and a friend of mine had said, you need to come up to Severs. Mary Fons is teaching a class. It's her first class, and so it'll be really fun. I'm like, okay, let's go.
Sure, because you're cool.
Because it was, I've never been there. It'd be fun. And it was fabulous. Mary taught our class for the week. Mm-hmm. We were, I think, in advanced class because she came up with some new things for us to learn that she wasn't originally planning. Mm-hmm. We had a great time, and the island is just fabulous.
It was really great. It's a school that we featured in Quilty. Just a special place. There's all kinds of wonderful quilt retreats out there. You should research them. You should go to these classes, destination spots for quilting classes. And the one where we met was a place that is called Severs. And we featured, Jackie, we featured you in Quilty Magazine before with the quilt that you made in that class.
Mm-hmm. It was fabulous fun.
It was good. We made friends. Mm-hmm. That's the best part. And
Absolutely.
the quilts. So the quilt that we have today is another quilt from the island. So tell me about this quilt.
So I had started this quilt when I went up to the island, and the class that I took this time was with Marianne Fons and Ellen Groff.
That's my mom. Ellen Groff, no kidding. Marianne Fons. Right.
And we had put the quilt up on the design wall. I'd started a couple of the blocks, and they'd given me some ideas in terms of how to lay out the because it's a charm pack, so the charm pack's in the blocks.
Okay.
And then we started to work on the sashing.
Yes, and the sashing, for those of you out there who are new to all of this, we love you. Keep watching. You're going to learn so much on Quilty. This is sashing. These are cornerstones. Mm-hmm. And when Jackie mentioned the charm pack, she means she used pre-cuts here for the blocks. Okay, carry on.
So I was originally going to use the red and cream print that's on the border for the sashing.
Okay.
And then I had a tone-on-tone red that I was going to use for the postings. And Marianne and Ellen were like, not a good idea, because the quilt blocks themselves, the fabric is the same. It's going to fall into the sashing.
I see. So the contrast between your blocks and this sashing would have been too low.
Exactly.
I can just hear my mother saying that. You're going to have a contrast problem. I can hear her saying it. And it's interesting, by the way, you said postings. You called these postings? Mm-hmm. It's new for me. Didn't know that. Love it. Very cool. Okay. I learned something from you. Okay, yes.
So then we auditioned the different fabrics and decided that the fabric that is the same as in the star was going to be the best to show off the star and the fabric, which I love.
I do too.
Love this fabric.
It's beautiful. So, okay, great. So the sashing and the stars are the same. And then the border.
So then we looked at different borders. We were going to do, a red border between the cream and the print, and decided that didn't need that. Okay. So we put this border up, and we're sitting back admiring it, as you often do in a class.
Definitely.
And
on the design wall, right?
On the design wall, which is so much fun. You sit in a chair, you all look up at the wall, and as Ellen says, you make visual decisions visually, right?
So good.
Yes.
Ellen's been on the show. We'll put the link up to Ellen's show.
And all of a sudden your mom said, we need this border to wave. I'm like, no. I've never done a wave before. I don't have a clue how to do it. And she said, I will help you with it.
And this is a good point to bring this out. This is also called, is it a scallop border or not?
It's a scallop border.
Okay, yes. Because, a scallop border can be many things. It can be very scalloped, like shells, or it can be like this too. So,
exactly.
So what do you have there?
So she then the next day brought this book, which is her book, Marianne Fons.
Yeah.
And she autographed it for me also.
Good. Smart, very smart of you to do that.
And we had some tissue paper, some tracing paper. She showed me how to fold it and then draw the lines, cut it out, and it makes a perfect border that fits around the specific size of my quilt.
She's so smart, that
Yes.
Marianne Fons, and that technique is in this book, and
Yep.
we'll get you information about that in the magazine and all that. So yeah.
So the other thing that she told me that was really important in the quilter, the long armor was really grateful for is don't cut the border until it comes back from the quilter.
That's huge. Wait, say that again and tell, because people won't know.
Don't cut so mark it so the quilter knows where it is.
Right, so
but don't cut it till it comes back from the quilter, because it's much easier for them to put them on the frame.
Right.
If they have the straight edges to put on there.
Right, so when you're getting your quilt together and it's got a scallop border, you're sending it off to a long armor. I'm just saying it one more time for those who are like not sure about prepping for a long armor. Don't cut the border. You can outline it, right? But just wait till it's all quilted and then you cut around, because that's hard for them to put it on the frame otherwise.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
Exactly.
Now, I want to talk about what slipped out there. This is the original pattern
Correct.
that you used. It was a Moda Bake Shop, right?
Right, it's a Moda Bake Shop recipe. The recipes are great, very good instructions, and the fabric there was a more contemporary fabric, but I loved the way that it really showcased the charm pack fabrics.
And this is a good thing to talk about, because you made it your own.
Yes.
You really changed this quilt. It's not the same quilt that I'm looking at, especially with that border change. Yes. One question before we have to go, and we could talk about quilts, and I want to know more about your class, because making a quilt collaboratively is like something I think some people would be nervous about, but it's wonderful. Isn't it fun?
It is awesome. And it really helps you from making mistakes, because
Yes.
you often fall in love with the fabric and use it the wrong way.
Absolutely. And then you're like, oh, that didn't work. Right. So the last question is, was the scallop border hard? Because they scare me, okay?
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
I was not going to do it because I was afraid of it.
Yeah.
And particularly the binding.
Yeah.
Yes, the
'Cause
binding.
It's bias.
Yes,
You got to do
it's
bias
binding.
binding. We do a show on that. Watch for it.
Because I had never done bias binding before. And so having Marianne help me with it really made a difference.
Good.
But the book really helps.
Good.
The instructions, and if you think about the tracing paper, because you can erase pencil. Pencil's easy to erase, right? So, and then if it didn't quite fit, then you can redo it. And when I marked it, I used the water-soluble marker so I could erase it if it didn't work.
Good.
And then I just put the binding on, and I just relaxed when I did it.
Yep.
And it was the first bias binding I'd ever done also.
So you made it. You're still alive and you're kicking.
And it looks great.
And
I love
it does.
it.
It really does. It's a beautiful quilt, Jackie.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to see you again.
You too.
Come back anytime. We should have you show us this thing. We'll do a scallop border with you next time.
There you go.
I love it. Okay, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
We'll see you and your quilts next time. Quilty is brought to you by Baby Lock Sewing and Long Arm Machines. Baby Lock, for the love of sewing. Aurifil Italian thread, perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Fairfield, together we can make beautiful things. Free Spirit, a new generation of creative and playful fabrics perfect for fashions, home decor, quilting, crafting, and more. Hovels Sewing, cut it close with Hovels. Moda, make something quilty with Moda fabrics. Thermoweb, manufacturer of heat and bond adhesives and new luxe interfacings, proudly made in the USA.